I will show you how to set up the telescope for visual observing. First, you take a tripod. Note this tripod is not compatible with photography, so this is a tripod that's specially for holding an astronomical telescope. We open up this tripod, the convenient height. Make sure the legs are tight, so the tripod does not collapse once the telescope is installed on it. Okay, so this is the tripod. And now I will put the telescope on top here. The way to do that is we will move this ledge this direction, put on the telescope and let it slide back. This is the telescope bag. Take a close look at how the telescope was squeezed into this bag. This is the only way you can put it back in. You don't have to actually, you should not disassemble it to smaller parts when you're struggling with squeezing it back in the bag. So open it up. This is the telescope. Never drop a telescope. Don't touch the front lens. Don't touch any lens. And then there's this shoe here, which goes on the top here, and it slides back. I'll show it again. It goes on, it slides back. This has to be very tight. If you press it too tight, it may break. So try to find a compromise. And now the telescope is on the tripod, and we can aim it at any position on the sky. However, there are a few knobs here that you would like to know about. First of all, if you release this, you can move it horizontally. If you tighten it, it does not move horizontally. It's tight. Second, there is this screw inside here, which is the tension adjustment. If this is loose, it's easy to move. If it's tight, it's harder to move. But it's possible to move. It's not locked. Now it's locked. All right? The same deal with the vertical axis. We have to release it first and can move. If I tighten it, and it's fixed, it doesn't move. It's released, it moves. Now how easy it is to move depends on this tension knob. Now it's easy to move, now it's a bit harder to move. In this way, when it's harder to move, it's easier to align it to a star and then slowly move from that star to another star without completely losing orientation. If it's too loose, the telescope may move on its own. It's not well balanced. So this is the way we put it on the tripod, and this is the way that we can orient it on any place on the sky. Now, there is a finder scope here. This is a finder scope. The magnification of the main telescope is typically too high to find anything on the sky. So we use a finder scope. We take off the caps of the finder scope, put it away in the outer pocket. And also in the main telescope here on the back, you have to put in an eyepiece, the back part. I'll move this, turn this around so you see. In the camera, in the telescope bag, we have eyepieces, and we also have something called the prism, which just is for convenience. It reflects the light up by 90 degrees, so it's easier to look in the telescope. So I will show you. First, you put in the prism, like that. And with the two little screws, you tighten it, and now the prism is in its place. You can now put in an eyepiece. There's an eyepiece. Again, place the caps of the eyepiece in its box. Never touch the glass of the eyepiece on either side. And you put the eyepiece in the eyepiece holder, and again tighten these two screws to hold it firm. In order to focus the telescope, you release this screw on the top, and you can focus it by moving here the focusing knob. Okay, so what I recommend is you assemble this in the daytime and aim it at something like a distant radio tower or the stadium lights or something, and try to focus it and look through how the image looks like. It will be an upside down image. It's an astronomical telescope. Now comes an important point or step. which is the finder scope. This finder scope has to be exactly perpendicular with the main telescope. So if you look through the finder and you aim the telescope at something, and that something, let's say a bird, is exactly at the center of the crosshair in the finder, then it should be also in the main telescope here. The way to achieve that is that you aim it at something on the ground, let's say this distant radio tower. You try to find it in the main telescope, and once it's in the center of the main telescope, you adjust your finder scope with these two screws to be exactly parallel with the main telescope. Okay, by adjusting these screws, you can adjust the angle of the finder scope. I will try to pre-adjust them so that they're roughly parallel, but as you move the telescope around, this adjustment may actually change and get misaligned. Okay, so again, the finder scope should be parallel with the main telescope. If you see something in the crosshair here, that should appear in the center. And the way you aim the telescope at anything on the sky is, again, I release these screws so I can move the telescope. Alright, I can now move it horizontal, I can move it vertical. I look through the finder with one of my eyes, I see the crosshair in it, and with my other eye I see the objects on the sky. And I should bring the crosshair to the object I see on the sky. So I see a bright star with both of my eyes, and it should appear in the finder, and I should see it with my other eye as well. So I move it till I achieve that. And once I found the bright star, or whatever object I want, then I can fix the telescope. But I can make a quick look through the main telescope to see if it's in there. And if it is in there, then I can lock the telescope at that position. I can show it to others. In about 10-15 minutes, the object will drift out from the field of view, or even less, because it has no motors, the Earth spins and the stars seemingly move on the sky.